talk to me a little bit about where you think this false narrative is coming from, because it is being pushed and peddled and published by everyone from, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to the New York Times's 1619 Project. It's being taught in public schools, in universities. This is really the primary narrative that we're hearing about race when it comes to police-involved shootings, when it comes to anything that could possibly be associated with the color of somebody's skin. Who seeded this in the modern era? Where is this coming from? Because it's so widespread, it's not isolated to one or two or three race baiters.
Well, I think history buffs are going to really love this book because I think, an exemplary job, if I may say so, in the fourth chapter of showing the antecedent roots of this narrative, which I think was forged in the crucibles of the latter part of the Civil Rights Act in what I call the revolutionary or victim studies. That is Black studies, Chicana studies, queer studies, women's studies. These were studies that were activist studies. They were advocacy studies that were meant to assault the Enlightenment project. They were meant to assault American civilization. If you look at these studies very, very carefully, they criminalize reason, they criminalize logic. They waged a war against all the values that we take to be foundational of the American Republic: individualism, the free market enterprise, the family. And these victim or revolutionary studies were forged by the left as a means of atoning for past grievances, which were understandable. So when we look at something like Black studies, it brought Blacks within the domain of the ethical or the pantheon of the human community. And it was, among other things, made to make Blacks be part of the sovereign mass. Unfortunately, what happened was, instead of taking advantage of what was heretofore denied Blacks, which was they were left outside of the educational domains, they ran roughshod over the educational system and declared a war against Western civilization. And you see this in women's studies, you see this in queer studies, you see this in post-colonial studies, Chicana studies, all of what I call these activist or revolutionary or victim studies. And so the chickens have come home to roost now. In the 1990s, when I was a young undergraduate, I remember Jesse Jackson marching with students saying, "Ho, ho, Western civilization has got to go." And I remember saying, "God, please I want to be a professor so bad. Please give me at least 25 years of university before I'm canceled." I actually used that word before it was fashionable. And so the chickens have come home to roost. These seeds were planted in the latter part of the 1960s civil rights movement.